My husband came home with blood on his shirt and said, "I need you to trust me for the next 3 hours." I was folding laundry in our bedroom when I heard the front door slam against the wall. My husband Daniel stumbled into the hallway and knocked over the coat rack. I dropped the towel I was holding and ran to the top of the stairs. His white work shirt was soaked in dark red blood from his collar to his belt. He looked up at me and his face was pale as paper. His hands were shaking as he gripped the banister. He said those words about trusting him and my whole body went cold. I ran down the stairs and grabbed his arms to check for wounds. The blood was still wet and warm against my fingers. He pushed past me and locked every deadbolt on our front door. I heard him breathing hard like he had been running for miles. His keys clattered to the floor and he left them there. He pulled me into the kitchen and started closing all the blinds. I grabbed his wrist and demanded to know whose blood was on him. He yanked open the cabinet under the sink and pulled out a black duffel bag I had never seen before. Inside the bag I saw stacks of cash wrapped in rubber bands. My phone started buzzing on the counter and I saw my sister's name flash on the screen. Daniel grabbed the phone and powered it off before I could answer. I heard a car engine rumble past our house and Daniel dropped to the floor. He crawled to the window and peered through the gap in the blinds. My hands started trembling and I had to sit down at the kitchen table. A second car drove slowly past and I heard its brakes squeak at the end of our driveway. Daniel pulled a handgun from the duffel bag and checked the chamber. I was certain my husband had done something terrible and killed an innocent person. I backed away from him until I hit the refrigerator door. He opened his wallet and pulled out a badge I had never seen in 14 years of marriage. The metal caught the kitchen light and I saw the letters FBI engraved across the top. I grabbed the badge and turned it over in my shaking hands. His photo was there with a name that was not Daniel Foster. The name read Special Agent Raymond Voss, and the badge number was current. I dropped it on the table like it had burned my skin. He pulled out a second phone from the duffel and showed me a photo on the screen. The picture showed a man tied to a chair with blood running down his face. I recognized that man as our neighbor Gerald from 2 houses down. Daniel grabbed my shoulders and spoke directly into my face. He said 5 words that made my legs weak. "Gerald runs a trafficking ring." I fell back into the kitchen chair and knocked over a glass of water. It shattered on the tile and neither of us moved to clean it. He explained he had been undercover in our neighborhood for 3 years. Our entire marriage had been part of his assignment to get close to Gerald. I felt vomit rising in my throat and I stumbled to the sink. I gripped the cold metal edge and watched my reflection waver in the window. Headlights swept across our kitchen wall and stopped. Daniel pulled me down below the counter as footsteps approached our back porch. Someone pounded on our back door with what sounded like a hammer. Daniel shoved the duffel bag into my arms and pointed toward the basement. I heard glass breaking in our living room as I ran down the wooden steps. My foot caught on a box and I tumbled onto the concrete floor. The cash spilled everywhere around me in scattered piles. I heard shouting upstairs and furniture crashing against walls. A gunshot exploded through the house and I screamed into my hands. Daniel's body hit the floor above me with a sickening thud. I crawled behind the water heater and pressed myself against the cold metal. 2 sets of footsteps moved through the kitchen toward the basement door. The doorknob rattled and I stopped breathing. The door burst open and flashlight beams cut through the darkness. I heard voices shouting federal agent and clear as more people poured down the stairs. They found me curled behind the water heater clutching that bag of evidence money. An agent helped me up and wrapped a shock blanket around my shoulders. They brought Daniel down on a stretcher with blood seeping through a bandage on his arm. He was alive but barely conscious as they carried him past me. A female agent explained that Gerald had discovered the operation and sent men to eliminate Daniel. I learned that my husband's real wife had been waiting in Virginia for 3 years. I watched them load him into an ambulance through my shattered living room window. The sirens faded into the night and I stood alone in a house that had never been a real home. I pulled off my wedding ring and set it on the counter where his fake badge had been.